The question is, how can medical educators bridge the gap and calm the fears and uncertainty which seem to be growing among HCPs, clergy, educators, general populace? How? The fear is a crisis of meaning. People are afraid that the golden thread, the sacred human connection that has defined healing for millennia, is being cut by an algorithm. To bridge this gap, medical educators cannot just add a tech class or a wellness seminar. They must fundamentally pivot how we train the human heart to operate alongside the silicon chip. Here is a practical roadmap for how educators can calm these fears and bridge the gap. 1. Shift from competency to presence. For decades, medical education has focused on competency, what you know and do. In a digital world, AI will eventually outmatch humans in pure data recall and diagnostic speed. The how, educators must prioritize clinical presence as a graded skill. This means teaching students how to put away the tablet, make eye contact, and use active listening techniques. We must teach that the most powerful tool in the room isn't the MRI, it's the person-to-person witness of suffering. Calming the fear. By emphasizing that AI cannot offer presence, educators reassure HCPs that their primary value is not their memory, but their humanity. 1. Integration of the medical humanities. The STEAM approach. We have over-indexed on the STEM side of medicine, science, tech, engineering, math, and neglected the humanities. The how. Replace some traditional lectures with seminars on philosophy, literature, and ethics. Study how Tolstoy's The Death of Ivan Ilyich teaches more about end-of-life care than a textbook on palliative physiology. For clergy and educators, create interprofessional education, IPE, tracks where medical students, nursing students, and divinity chaplaincy students work on case studies together. This breaks down the walls between the physical cure and the spiritual care. 1. Digital literacy as a fear killer. Fear usually stems from the unknown. Many HCPs fear AI because they see it as a black box that will take their jobs or make errors they can't see. The how. Demystify the technology. Teach students how algorithms are built, their biases, and their limits. When a doctor understands that AI is just a superpowered stethoscope, the fear of replacement turns into a feeling of mastery. For the populace, educators should lead public forums explaining how data is used, emphasizing that privacy is a form of dignity. 1. Reclaiming the sacred ritual. Medicine is full of rituals. The white coat, the physical exam, the rounds. Digitalization threatens to make these feel like data collection events. The how. Educators must teach the physical exam as a ritual of connection. Even if an ultrasound is more accurate than a hand on a belly, the act of touching a patient is a spiritual bridge. We must teach students that the laying on of hands is a biological and psychological necessity for healing, regardless of what the digital data says. 1. Training for moral resilience. The uncertainty you mentioned often leads to moral injury. The feeling that one cannot provide the care a patient deserves because of systemic or digital barriers. The how. Educators must provide ethics labs where students practice navigating the tension between what the computer says and what the patient wants. We need to train HCPs to be advocates, not just technicians. Calming the fear. This empowers the HCP. It shifts them from being a cog in the machine to being the guardian of the patient's spirit. Educators must loudly champion the human-in-the-loop model. The how. In every simulation and every exam, the final decision-maker must always be the human, guided by values, not just variables. Educators must model this by being vulnerable leaders, admitting when they are overwhelmed by tech and showing how they use spiritual practices like mindfulness or prayer to stay grounded. 1. Partnering with clergy and community leaders. The general populace often trusts their faith leaders more than they trust a medical corporation. The how. Medical schools should host community wisdom circles. Bring in local imams, priests, rabbis, and community elders to talk to students about what their communities fear about digital medicine. The result? This builds a feedback loop. When the public sees doctors listening to spiritual leaders, the vacuum of trust begins to fill. The new curriculum educators need to design a curriculum to bridge this gap. Its motto could be, master the machine, so you are never mastered by it. Treasure the soul, for it is the only thing the machine cannot replicate. The how is not found in more technology, but in a radical return to the liberal arts of healing. We bridge the gap by proving that the more high-tech we become, the more high-touch we must remain.